Go for the message today, and that's how the prophetic parenting came about. How do I tell them? So I want to start off with two facts before we even go into the message. The first fact is God instituted marriage, and He is not going to make it problematic for us to find His will in marriage, because that is the institution that He started. And we have seen so many difficult ways of finding your spouse, your God's will in marriage. People talk about it. You go to counseling, you become more confused by the time you're coming out about finding the will of God. So it's not that difficult. What I found out is that even Christians are more difficult. Those are the people that are difficult. Their principles and the concept, the ideas and the understanding of this God's will, they are difficult for the Christians. The Christians themselves are the ones that are difficult, not finding God's will. That the fact number two is that if you're already of a marriageable age, I would like to submit to you that God is not going to just create your spouse. They already existed. They may not be close to you. They may just be far from you. It's just a matter of time. And it means that they will not just be given birth to. The only thing that is separating both of you is delay. There's no how you want to explain it again. It's just delay. So if you are going to marry 5 years from now, it means the guy is already here on earth, or if the lady is already here. So how to shorten the time from now till 5 years is what you should be looking at, because you are just, I'm going to celebrate another birthday next year. It is simply delay. It's not like in other cultures that, in some cultures, you may have a cultural delay. I think I'm having some issue. You may have some cultural delay. If you are living in France, for instance, there is a cultural idea that your wife can be 24 years older than you, or your husband can be. The French president is a classical example. The wife, Bridget, is 64 and the guy is 40. Culturally, you want to say, okay, let me wait. Maybe I'll become president's spouse by the time it comes. And then you come to the US as well. This is the third marriage of our president here. He's also 24 years older than the wife, 71, 47. But I'm sure the culture here that we have here does not allow us, and we will not even think of 24 being a magic number, that as soon as I just have to endure for 24 more years, then I'll find myself in the White House. Yeah, there are some presidents that have the ages are close together, their spouses. So it should not be an incentive for us to wait for 24 years. And in Nigeria, we don't have that culture of waiting for so long in time. So one of the ways to remove this delay, we have already established that it's just delay. He is already existing. She is already existing. It's just for you to find yourself, remove that delay, and then both of you find yourself. One of the ways to remove that is prophetic parenting, as established in the Bible. And both young parents and parents to be, even widows and widows, singles that still desire to be married, they can benefit from this prophetic parenting. So the purpose of prophetic parenting is just basic. You remove confusion. You help your children to remove confusion from their path. They don't struggle to find career. Where they are thinking, okay, let me get a brochure and find out what I should do in life. You're already there. You're already ahead of them. You remove confusion. And also, when it comes to the issue of marriage, you go ahead of them and you tell them, this is the place, this is the person, and this. And it will remove delay immediately. But this is a new generation. They have redefined that and labeled it old school, old fashioned. We will use the Bible because the truth is always true. And then we will use that to help us, and hopefully we'll have breakthroughs before this year ends in Jesus' name. Yeah. All right, let's see some positive biblical examples that understood the prophetic example. prophetic parenting, and they benefited from that. That is Abraham that orchestrated the finding of wife for Isaac. Genesis 24. We from verse 1. Now Abraham was old, well advanced in age, and the Lord had blessed Abraham in all things. So Abraham said to the oldest servant of his house, who ruled over all that he had, please put your hand under my thigh, and I will make you swear by the Lord, the God of heaven and the God of the earth, that you will not take a wife for my son from the daughter of Canaanites, among whom I dwell, but you shall go to my country and to my family and take a wife for my son. Abraham helped Isaac, and Isaac did not have any delay whatsoever. That if you flip the other side, also you go to Naomi. This is a lady now. She prophetically guided Ruth into marriage. She also removed the delay after the loss of her husband. She found herself in a strange land. Prophetically, she just got married, and she had a wonderful one. You see the testimony of Naomi. She said, then Naomi's mother-in-law said to her, my daughter, shall I not seek security for you, that it may be well with you? Ruth 3 verse 1. But some other people rejected this prophetic parenting, and they suffered for it. Look at Esau, for instance. Even at the age of 40, when his twin brother Jacob had not yet married, Esau had already had 2 wives. And the Bible records that when Esau was 40 years old, he took as wives Judith, the daughter of Beri, the Hittite, the Basemath, and daughter of Helon, the Hittite. And they were a grief of mine to Isaac and Rebekah. So marriage can be a grief to parents, and that is why they have to stand in the gap for the children ahead of them. If you're a young parent, you need to start practicing how to get a prophetic stature before you get into that future, because finding spouse for the young adults can be very tough. With your intervention prophetically, you help them, and we will get there very soon. So Esau rejected that. Another person that rejected that was the prophetic parenting was Samson. It was very powerful. He had a great future. God gave him the Holy Spirit, but that would not amount to good marriage. You have to have a parent that will intervene and help you out. Judges 14:3 says, then his father and mother said to him, is there no woman among the daughters of your brethren, or among all my people, that you must go and get a wife from the uncircumcised Philistine? They were so concerned. He had so much power, but they were still concerned for him. He was going the wrong way. And Samson said to his father, get her for me, for she pleases me well. You see? And that cost him his vision, his eyes, and it cost him his life. You cannot reject prophetic parenting in marriage and expect to succeed in that marriage. It cost him his life. With all his power, Samson lost his vision, and he lost his life in the process. So that is the strength of prophetic parenting. All right, let's look at the way God defines parenting. And before you start reading books and then you get more confused by the time you finish them. God puts it in a very simple way in Genesis 18:17-19. He said, and the Lord said, shall I hide from Abraham what I am doing, since Abraham shall surely become a great and mighty nation, and all the nations of the earth shall be blessed in him. For I have known him in order that he may command his children and his household after him, and that they may keep the way of the Lord, to do righteousness and justice, that the Lord may bring to Abraham what he has spoken to him. So for God, he is defining parenting as command his household, and what he has spoken to him. So there are 2 components of parenting as far as God is concerned. The first part is command, and the second part is prophetic, what he has brought, what he has spoken to him. And most of the parents that we have only do this command, and after that they hang the boots, say, in the hand of parenting. That is wrong. You have to have these and to complete your parenting if you really want to succeed as a parent. So unfortunately, majority of parents around the world just do the command and they forget about it. Only few parents remember their prophetic role when they are on their deathbed, they're about to die, That's when they start prophesying, like Jacob did when he wanted to die in Egypt. It was too late. You have the prophetic ministry as a parent throughout the lifetime of your children. As long as you live, God expects you to step into it and to do that. But don't just limit it to command. So what is command? Command is when you provide food and shelter for your household, your children. You set rules and regulations to set in order things that happen at home. You tell your children, do this, and they do it. You say, don't do that. That is commanding. You're going to do that. You scold them, you ground them when they hear, so that they don't veer off in the right direction. That is the commanding. And the children at that stage, because they are still very obedient to you, they will stand in reverence. They want to hear what mommy is saying. They will call daddy and say, daddy, what do you have here? You are in a state of command. And that is when you should try to build on your prophetic stature as a parent. Because this will come. Command time is timed. Your children are looking at their wristwatch. By the next day they want to turn 18. They're already checking time. Why? Because they want to wake you up and say, mommy, I'm already 18, I'm an adult now. This is when the command line becomes weakened. It's undermined. You tell your child, do this, they will tell you, I'm an adult. The command chain is changing. And then most parents do not get it. They still want to retain that command on their children. Frustration will come. You will start saying things and they will be doing another thing. And you do not realize that stage has passed. And then you need to move to the next stage that God has told you in the verse that we read. And that is the command component is getting over. And you need to switch over to the gear for the prophetic. The prophetic stage is everlasting. It is actually forever, even after you're dead, because you've already prophesied into their future. Whatever you say into their future will keep moving with them. But during the lifetime also, you need to activate that. You need to be aware of that so that you prosper. You help your children to break delay barriers. That is the function of a parent. You can step into it and all delays of life will be gone. And your children will enjoy it for it. So, unfortunately, most parents just give up, and frustration from that time that they turn 18. They always want to force their children in that way. You have to do this, but the children will just be rebelling. Because that time, you need to switch fully to the prophetic gear. And that is it. How do we define parents? It's simply anyone that has a stake over the children. As a parent, you can have your biological parent, foster parents, aunts, uncles, all the family members, spiritual, which are pastors. They are your parents because they are stakeholders over you. We are going to define 4 types of parents. We have 529 planned parents. We have casual parents. We have selfish parents, and we have prophetic parents. 529 parents. They only have college savings plan for their children. You know, by the time their children are finishing, they give a sigh of relief. Ah, I'm done. You are not yet done. If you succeed in training your children academically and they fail in marriage, that is not the correct way to do it. So that's 5 to 9 parents. You have casual parents. These are people, they are so casual. Critical decisions in life, they will tell their children to follow their heart. That is the only song they know how to sing. They just say, follow your heart, and they start singing. And you know, it's so casual. You cannot do that and tell your children, if you cannot follow your heart, if you don't have anything in your heart as an adult to tell them, how do you expect them to follow their heart? How? That is disastrous. You cannot afford to do that. That's too casual. And if you indulge your children enough for them to tell you that this is a jet age, and you try to indulge them and allow them to have relationships based on jet age principles, you are going to have jet lag marriages. And the jet lag marriage, let me describe that for you. Because jet lag marriage is you are not going to be sleeping when you're supposed to be sleeping. They will be calling you at night to come and resolve problems. That's jet lag. And unfortunately, the pastorate will also take part of the jet lag. You know? They always call pastor at night. This is because you are so casual and you're asking them to follow the principles that are not godly. That is not what God wants. God has planned and has put you as parent. As long as you are alive, you are supposed to make them to benefit from that ministry of prophetic. So that is that. And some people don't even care where their children marry into, whatever religion they like, they marry into. This is America. No, there are rules and regulations on how to make your marriage godly. God has stipulated the rules, and if you cross the boundaries, you're going to pay for it. You have to stay in faith and also in the place that God wanted you. Abraham told the servant, say, go to my father's house and go and get Isaac a wife for me. There was a specific location. You cannot just say, he was already in the promised land. But in that promised land, Abraham did not see anybody that was ready for Isaac. Why? We will get there later. That is how you should feel. You should feel that concern. You have scanned through the whole environment as a parent and say there is nobody that can fit into this destiny yet here. So he had to prophetically say, go. He didn't name anybody. He didn't put anybody there. He said, God will guide you. That is prophetic. And Isaac benefited from that. So selfish parents, they are very political. They marry themselves for political gain and economic gains. They have green cards, and you have to do arranged marriage, which is devilish, which is not good. You know that you're going to break up from the marriage, and you still deceive people to come in. That is wickedness. And time is going, parent. I just have to have my granddaughter and my grandchildren. That is not enough. You have to be more prophetic than that. So we go into our focus, actually, the prophetic parenting. They know and they stay connected to God. They know God and they stay connected to Him. They also know the God-given destiny to their children. They are aware of that. Abraham was given the promise of becoming a blessing to the whole world. And that promise will die if Abraham did not ensure that Isaac will continue it. And to continue the promise for that family and for the entire human generation, a marriage, successful marriage is needed to do that. You cannot go into a marriage casually and you expect that promise that God has given to your family to be perpetuated to all generations. It's not going to work. So that is the concern of Abraham. He knew God. He also knew the promises of God. And the third level is that you have to build a track record of this prophetic ministry that God has given to you, using your children and taking them along. On Mount Moriah, when God said, go and sacrifice your son Isaac for me, Isaac knew the God of Abraham then, because Isaac had, Daddy, I had the firewood is here, everything for the sacrifice, where is the lamb? And Abraham said, God will provide himself. And at the time he will get to the place of sacrifice, God showed up. Isaac knew the God of Abraham that way. When you want to be prophetic to your children, it's not going to start at the point of marriage. You will have to take them through the process of seeing God, and they can trust that when you say to them, God has given you this wife, there is no question anymore. As soon as Isaac just saw the wife, he didn't even argue, because he knew the God that provided the lamb when there was no lamb has also made this one. You have to build that track record that your children can trust you. Some of us don't come to Bible study. We prefer to watch comedy. Steve Harvey. Just laugh. And when you talk in the future, your children will think you're actually a comedian. Because when you give them and say, God said this, Daddy has started again. How much are we going to pay for this comedy? That is what you are going to turn your house into. You need to build that track record. So, you think the comedy is just what I fabricated? No. In Genesis 19:14, when God told Lot, I'm going to destroy Sodom and Gomorrah. You have to vacate now. Tell everybody that knows you and you love so much to vacate. Look at what his sons-in-law told him. So Lot went out and spoke to his sons-in-law who had married his daughters and said, get up, get out of this place, for the Lord will destroy this city. But to his sons-in-law, he seemed what? To be joking. When critical decisions come into your family, do your children think you're joking? When you tell them, that woman, you cannot marry that lady, they will say, you don't even know what you're saying. Because you don't have any track record to show them that God is indeed helping you out as a prophetic parent. So you need to build that track record. Our prophetic parent is root. Let's also look at prophetic parenting has Naomi saw it. So then Naomi in Ruth 31, then Naomi, her mother-in-law, said to her, my daughter, shall I not seek security for you, that it may be well with you? Prophetic parenting seeks security for their children. He's not security guard. He's not buying security stock exchange. He's seeking security for them in their what? They secure the destiny. Abraham saw that this marriage will help the destiny, the promises that God has given to him. So that was what he was concerned. Don't ever get a woman for my son here. This destiny will be crushed. So they know that they are seeking security according to the definition of Naomi. A marriage that will give birth to Jesus came through Ruth. So that is the prophetic part of that. You're always seeing Jesus ahead. Am I going to make this decision and will glorify Jesus? Will my son take this decision and glorify Jesus? That is prophetic. And you seek eternal security as well. By the time they leave this world, are they going to make it to heaven or hell? You can tell them and say, you need to go to Nigeria now. You need to go to this place. This is the place you need to live for 6 months. This is the prophetic. And they will be solved. The problem will be solved. But when you don't have anything to tell them, they just stay anywhere, anytime. And that adds up to the delay. And that is what we should solve as a parent. You can even reject or accept proposals based on how the Spirit of God is leading you. The attitude of the children to the parents, the prophetic parent. You also, if you're a child of destiny, you need to identify and acknowledge the grace, the prophetic grace in the lives of your parent. Appreciate the security package, because when a prophetic parent is talking, he's actually looking for security for you, no divorce. But you are bent on marrying six-packs. You are bent on marrying beautiful face that will just crash. That should not be. You should look for security yourself when your parents are doing the same thing. Don't call it old school. So what is old school? Let me quickly define old school for you. Old school, let me just use the slide. You want to make a hairstyle, for instance, and you have your head and your hair. You make afro hairstyle. You still have your head, I hope so, and you have hair. You can make low cut. But what the younger that call old school is the head and the hair. They cut off the head and say this head is old school. No, the style that you make on that head is either old or the new school. It's not the head or the hair. You understand? And the same thing, if you apply that to fabric, you can make only cool style. If some of us will know that it's from Nigeria. That is old school. The same fabric you can use to make whatever you want that is new here. Your body is still your body, your fabric is still your fabric, but the style that you make from it is old, or it can be new. The same thing applies to marriage. If you get anybody and you marry anybody in a new school way and you treat them badly, that is old school. The style of the marriage makes it old or new. So parental influence and help in marriage is not old school. It's what you make out of it that becomes old school or new school. So don't cut off your head next time when you have the hairstyle. So parenting is not old school, it's just what you make out of it. And it will interest you that some families in the world that are not even Christians from Saudi Arabia have had some of my colleagues, they used to be my colleagues then, that they still adopt this method. Their parents have to marry from house to house, and they have to look for husbands, and it's working. They are having good marriages, according to them. They are having heaven on earth marriage. But we are in the Christendom rejecting this and say this is old school. No. The universality of prophetic parenting is not limited to the church. God has already provided that for us to help our children and to move them forward when they are getting stranded. So we have to think about it. Whether you like it or not, they are enjoying their marriages as well. But I'm not recommending Muslim Christian ticket. You understand? Muslim ticket is good because they will have heaven on earth marriage, but I'm not sure of eternal security because they are equally yoked on that ticket, Muslim. But when a Christian marries an unbeliever, that becomes unequally yoked, and the eternal security is not guaranteed. But the bottom line is, this is universal. Whatever parent gets the revelation, they run with it, they're going to help their children, and they will move very fast. So what kind of children qualify for this? You have children of all marriageable ages. It doesn't matter if you're still 20-something and your parents are already helping you. It is the time to do that, to help them. And if you are also marriageable age, you're still praying to God, and God can also set up the parenting, prophetic parenting around you to help you. And you have the spiritual maturity to be responsible, to take care and make it new school, not old school. Because if it fails, it's not because of the recommendations, it's because you have made it old school. It's that. Our parents, our forefathers, they just married like that. They were not even Christians. And they had stable marriages. Because they got this revelation, maybe they were not conscious of it, they operated in it, and they married successfully. With all our intellectuals and the intelligence in this generation, marriage is failing per second. Because we have rejected what God has provided for us. So let's go back to, you don't become careless as Esau. Esau sold his birthright, and he was also cheated on his blessing. That did not cause any grief to the parents. But on the issue of marriage, his parents were grieving and say, wow, this guy missed it. That is how important it is. You cannot carelessly just walk out and say you want to get married. What? You have a destiny to fulfill. You are just signing up for crashing your marriage or making it successful if you do that. So you have to make that, and you have to humble yourself enough to accept this. Because sometimes when we have degrees, we don't even know our boundaries, what we have to enjoy anymore. You know, I told my elder sister that a few years ago to give me some money to do business, and she just reported me to my mom, and my mom told me that I shouldn't do that business. I was thinking, how many degrees this year? So I just went. I didn't even tell them again. I went to do the transport business. I almost died because of hypertension. Because the prophetic parent has spoken. You cannot go against that. And that's what we are thinking that we can do. We can outsmart that instruction. Don't do that. She didn't even know. They didn't know that I did the business. I just quit. I gave the guy the money. Please go. Because give me money. What money are you bringing today? No, this policeman did this. This vehicle did this. I said, Mommy, I said this. Oh, just go. So that is what Bible says, that if you honor your parents, you are going to live long. By dishonoring them, that thing almost killed me, because my heart is, am I going to lose? I eventually lost it. So even if you have degrees more than the thermometer, you know the thermometer has how many degrees? 100 degrees. Even if your degree is more than 100, the parenting role cannot be erased, because that is what God has put them to do. You have to humble yourself to accept it. And the main barrier that I've seen Because in the Netherlands, one lady was sharing how she wants her marriage to look like after she gets married. She said she would like to explain to people where they met, how they met, the number of months they spent in courtship, what they did, as if that is what she's just looking for, acceptance of a story, a long story before that happens. As long as she has that long story, she's comfortable. The marriage is made. People don't want anything like, okay, God is helping you to solve this ordeal in a short while. Don't worry about it. God will just help you. They don't want that. The lady wants the story. If you write your marital status in your CV, nobody's going to ask for your spouse's name, except they want next of kin. Nobody even cares. Nobody cares. Now you want to just trap yourself in that delay and then you get stuck in it. You shouldn't do that. Don't try to impress anybody. If God is going to lead you by prophetic parenting, you need to grab it and grab it fast. So short story can be coming and that will help you as well. So let's go back to finding God's will that is easy. You see now, God doesn't want us to even stress ourselves in finding spouses. God's will in marriage. If you have prophetic parenting, they can just easily help you, and that settles it. So we feel if we have great faith and we have this understanding of prophetic parenting, you see how easy it is to remove delay from our path. Have you been rejecting your prophetic parenting? Have you started labeling them old school? You need to rethink prayerfully and you get it right. So you just need what? Great faith and understanding of what we just discussed. And the marriage, according to Jesus' prophecy, can happen this year. Is the lack of that understanding that marriage courtship has to last this long. No, it didn't happen for Isaac. He just got the woman like that. I know for some people it has to be like that, but if you have already been delayed like Isaac, you just need that miracle to happen, and that will settle it, and you get rid of all philosophies that will not help you. So this is for both young and old parents to help their children. They need faith and also they need understanding of this. But caveat, it sounds encouraging, but there is no pressure on anybody to go and get married though. I hope we know. I'm not pressurizing you to do that. And if you know that your parents are not selfish, they are not prophetic, they're just selfish, they're just seeking their own, you need to watch out. And the RCCG pastor, I'm aware that they are not supposed to name someone for another person. But I tell you, a pastor will do that privately for his own biological sons and daughters. So if you are spiritual sons and daughters too, and you're that close, that pastor will help you also. But because they are afraid, you will come back and blame them and say that their marriage crashed because of their recommendation. They will just be looking at you, even when they know that this guy is a devil. That is risky. We are losing so much because we are rejecting this prophetic parenting. So the Jesus prophecy will come through prophetic parenting. And if you think you are going to regret or blame anyone for that decision, that prophetic parenting is not for you. You can just wait till you find your own by yourself. Because Ruth and Isaac did not blame anybody for this. Don't forget the miracle of surprise in the prophecy this year. Many marriages will happen. He didn't put specifically that for those that have been in long courtship. No. Many marriages will happen. It means anyone that has the faith and the understanding can grab it and they run with that. So that is the way to dismantle the delay.